Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Today's book is called The Strangers by Katherena Vermette. It's a little different spelling for Catherine, I guess that's how you pronounce it. And she wrote The Break, which is apparently a companion to this is a companion to the book, or it can be, I don't know. I mean, I've read anywhere from it's a companion to it's the second book in a trilogy. The next book is called The Circle. I'm not sure what that one is about, although I've kind of read what that one's about. But based on what I've read in this book, which I read for a book club meeting, I assume that it's will be and it's more of a sequel, because it goes on from the events of The Break. I read an overall summary of The Break, and I got a better idea of what the book was about. So, that being said, I'm going to read the blurb, and then I'm going to give you my overall review, and then my thoughts. From the best-selling author of The Break comes a staggering intergenerational saga that explores how connected we are even when we're no longer together, even when we're forced apart. Cedar has nearly forgotten what her family looks like. Phoenix has nearly forgotten what freedom feels like. And Elise has nearly given up hope. Nearly. After time spent in foster homes, Cedar goes to live with her estranged father. Although she grapples with the pain of being separated from her mother, Elise, and sister, Phoenix, she's hoping for a new chapter in her life, only to find herself once again in a strange house surrounded by strangers. From a youth detention center, Phoenix gives birth to a baby she'll never get to raise and tries to forgive herself for all the harm she's caused, while wondering if she even should. Elise, struggling with addiction and determined to turn her life around, is buoyed by the idea of being reunited with her daughters and strives to be someone they can depend on, unlike her own distant mother. These are the strangers, each haunted in her own way. Between flickering moments of warmth and support, the women diverge and reconnect, fighting to survive in a fractured system that pretends to offer success but expects them to fail. Facing the distant blade of racism from those who they trusted most, they urge one another to move through the darkness, all the while wondering if they'll ever emerge safely on the other side. A breathtaking companion to her bright, best-selling debut, The Break, Vermette's The Strangers brings readers into the dynamic world of the stranger family, the strength of their bond, the shared pain of their past, and the light that beckons from the horizon. This is the series exploration of race, class, inherited trauma, and matrilineal bonds that, despite everything, refuse to be broken. I gave this a 4. Like I said earlier, I had to go and check the synopsis of The Break to understand some things that happened in this book and why things were. I'm not going to give things away. I would highly recommend you read the book. It's really good. I really quite liked it. There were times that it did kind of seem to drag, and I for whatever reason, I liked Cedar's story more than anything. And then, more than anything, I found Phoenix and Lisa's story to be kind of ho-hum at times, and I'm not really caring about them. I also kind of liked Margaret's story. I should mention before I go on, the book came out in 2023, so it came out a couple of years ago, so it's still fairly new, but apparently there's another book to this. There's a sequel to this book. The book is divided into years. So there's year 1, which is the part 1, and then it goes through 5 years, basically, up until I believe 2020, because there's mention of masks and social distancing and all that lovely jam. And each of the five parts are broken up into three different, at least four different sections. You get from the point of view of Phoenix, then of Cedar, then Elise, and then Margaret. And that goes on for at least years 1 through 4, and then in year 5, if I remember correctly, I'm just going to double check. You get an extra chapter of Cedar, of Cedar's point of view. I think that's why I like the book, is that you got different perspectives of each character, each of the 4 main characters. And it was just really well done. Really enjoyable. What I'm probably going to end up doing is going back and reading The Break, hopefully sometime soon. Hopefully probably starting in the new year. And then I'll read, I don't know if I'll reread this, because if I have to go and reread a book, it's kind of soon after I read it, it's kind of hard. And then I'll go and read, which is the final part, which is called The Circle, which I imagine there's a lot of healing and stuff in it. So that was, and I love how they played the word, she played on how she had a word play on the strangers, because while they're all related, they're all strangers themselves, and they're strangers to not only to each other, but to people in their family, other people in their family. So they're kind of, and their last name is Stranger. So it's kind of an interesting wordplay. And they sort of are strangers to each other. They don't know what each other has gone through and that sort of thing. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's a really good book. I haven't read The Break, so I can't tell you about The Break. When I do read The Break and post a thing about it, and I imagine I'll be blown away with The Break, because I've heard really good things about it. I will give you my thoughts and feelings and I'll probably post a link back to this one, so you can view it. And maybe I'll give my thoughts on The Strangers. I'll maybe have part 2 on this, because who knows, my thoughts on The Strangers might be completely different. Understanding The Break. Anyways, that was The Strangers by Katherena, I think that's how you pronounce it, Vermette. I was going to get the audio, see if I could get the audio so I could get a pronunciation of her name, but I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced. Now, it might be different, so who knows. Anyways, I really enjoyed this book. I didn't love it, but I am sure that I'm hopeful that other people show up at the book club meeting and we can have a really good discussion about the book. That was The Strangers by Katherena Vermette, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now.